That's always a nice thing to say. And this is your life, yeah. Well, you know, and as I was saying, I mean, these girls in Cuties are 11. Some of these actresses, they're 11 years old, which means they're not even old enough to be groomed by CREEPYPASTA. Welcome, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome back to Stones to Abbigale. Today, we're finishing. We're diving into the final chapters of. I can't even bring
the Nonce Bible. It's called the Nonce.
Of a book. This is a book that somebody wrote, and we're doing it, and we're nearly done.
Yep.
Oh, can you hear the excitement in my voice to be doing this?
Well, look on the bright side. Once it's done, then it's done and over with until we read the next book.
Yeah.
Hello there. Oh man, I'm in class. I'll be back to catch the ending.
All right.
Beautiful opening, Cope. And then I was like, do not yell allegedly.
I'm past yelling allegedly now. I mean, it's just flat out slander at this point. I'm not even bothering to censor myself anymore.
Well,
what's he gonna do? Take you to court? Like, he's gonna be his own lawyer. Judge, this man here has said some very mean things about me, and all because Angelica was a crack baby. I just can't. That's all I fucking know him for.
Oh no! Don't turn 18. You're too sexy. Right. So
Hi Emily. Nice to see you.
Right.
Only 3
So should we do a recap of what happened last time?
I need a
Last
bloody
time on Stones to Abbigale, Ralph Wiggum ran into the road and died. The end.
Thank you, Prada. Hang in there. We believe in you. We're gonna do it. We're absolutely gonna make it.
I think we need those dotted around in the actual room, like one of those hang in there posters.
There's a cat, but it's just Onision's face.
One of his only,
and someone pushing him.
It's like it's instead of hanging on from like a bit of string or whatever it was, hanging line. It's on the edge of a cliff or building, and someone's just stepping on his fingers.
It just says hang in there, and it's Greg at the fucking gallows.
Yeah.
Saying allegedly gives him the benefit of the doubt, which is more than he deserves. There, I said it.
Uncle Palpy, thanks very much for the £2. No, don't turn 18. Also, YouTube can do no wrong.
Oh god, yeah,
yes.
I forgot. He made that really cringy video. It's like, guys, let's stop hating on YouTube. It's such a great platform. It protects pedophiles like me.
Hi, Fallout Sheppy. Nice to see you.
Cameron Delk, thank you very much. Let's do this, he says, in a style not unlike the old Leroy video from about 2006, 2007. Alright, fucking...
Bioman, thank you very much for the $2.
Did anything else happen, or was it just Davis running out into traffic?
That's all. I don't remember.
And then they went to the funeral, and it was like, oh, I was going to blame him, but it was a good boy.
Oh my god,
he
yes!
Talk about how great his friend was.
That was literally
he
it.
Only wanted his peanut.
The whole... Oh no, don't turn 13, you're too sexy, says Bioman 12. Yeah, so the whole scene was like, well, this would be a funeral for my son Davis, but instead we're going to make this about Onion Boy, because in this world everything is about him.
I'm surprised that spotlight, like, all the lights, and there's just a spotlight, and then they start throwing roses and put like a little, king of the funeral trophy, gave him a little crown, and...
Thank you, House Rage, for the $20. Oof.
just dot. Oof.
It's like, you need this more than what I do.
It's just like pretty much like straight to the point, isn't it? It's like, ooh.
People throwing money at us and we haven't even fucking started.
I think this is like courage. Do you know what I mean? It's like, because I'm already on like beer number 3 before we even start, because it's like, again, it's just giving yourself that Dutch courage to get started.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just sort of like coming up. It's like building us up, hyping us up.
Building a bear.
Like the hype house.
Yeah.
But not.
I need a hype man. I did a tour the other day, and this chap, Japanese fellow, was laughing like I was killing it at the Apollo the whole time. And I could say at the end of the tour, I was like, if you want, we could work together. We could do some business. I really could use a hype man. Davis's traffic adventure and James's emotional blowjob train. That's what happened last time.
Wait, there was a blowjob train?
Well, and they cut that bit out of the book where every single person at the funeral just sucked him off. Well, they did it metaphorically. They probably cut out the scene where they did it literally.
Thank you very much, Red Rose Spark, for the $9.99. Thoughts on the abomination known as cuties? Netflix, more like nonce-flix, am I right?
Get it?
No, absolutely. At first, you missed the very beginning of the stream, but basically, I made fun of that movie for basically showing 11-year-olds in a state of undress. Girls not even CREEPYPASTA would groom. That's how I put it. They're that young. Runit Chan, thank you very, very much for the $4.99. The fact he killed the character based off his real dead friend and made the funeral all about himself is very telling. I mean, you're not wrong, are you? You're not wrong at all. Uncle Octopus, thank you very much. He says, I cannot wait to hear Jacob yell, then end. Yeah, I'll try to remember to do that at the end. Thank you.
Sam,
thank you. Just an emoji of a man throwing something in the trash. Perfect. Pterodax, a donation to go towards raising Absathoth. Boys, it's going to happen. When we finish this, Absathoth will swallow the world.
Mm-hmm.
The seas will boil, the mountains will break open.
I'm looking forward to it. We're getting there.
Women will give birth to 100 children with their eyes inside out. It'll be extraordinary. Netflix will release movies about 11-year-olds twerking. That's one of the signs of the apocalypse, I think. If you haven't cancelled your Netflix yet, cancel your Netflix now. I already did it.
Yeah, we've cancelled our Netflix.
Please do it as well, guys. Not that I'm here to pressure anybody to be exactly like me, but please, guys, if you want to be in the cool club, if you want to be a member of the Cortex Club, the cool kids squad over here, cancel your Netflix right away.
We've got a sign on the door that says no child molesters allowed.
Because it's free.
Yeah, because I'm with O2. They went, hey, they texted me. It was like, enter this code to get 6 months of free Disney Plus. I was like, okay, I could stand to watch Gargoyles again.
Yeah. And DuckTales.
Thank you very much, Dom Thorne. Since this is the finale, what will you miss most about this story?
Nothing.
Fuck all. Honestly, I think I think I'll miss Rocket Fist Rick the most out of this. I think I'll miss all the jokes, like the really easy jokes about how, the love interest is a giant god monster that comes from beneath the Earth's surface. I think I'll miss that. And
I'll miss all the really weird jokes that most have got, like the fucking Smurf one or Fred Flintstone and Barney.
The fucking Smurf one. Like, what the fuck were we on about? And yeah, the whole Fred Flintstone thing.
I'll miss my innocence.
Toby can't be. Thank you, Uncle Palpy. Toby can't be here because he's off in the Arabian Peninsula fighting with the native forces to free them from the tyranny of the Ottoman Turks. I mean, that is a very, very based thing to do, my dude.
But nice, working in it.
You do know he does fucking hate the Turks. You remember when he started?
Toby, have you toppled the encroaching Ottoman Empire? I'm working on it.
Help.
Why Toby is Christian?
Don't tell me how to play.
Like, if you had a machine to go back and rewrite history, and you just put instead of Black Tepesh, it's Christian.
It's like, I see like the link cards like the defeat of the Ottomans has no set schedule. There will be spikes up their asses when there are spikes up their asses.
Should we get moving? Because people have been throwing a lot of money and we've been destroyed. How long have we stuck? It's been about 10 minutes. And if people keep throwing money at us...
I'm going to call the FBI. Don't call anyone. Okay. So, forgive me if my reading voice sounds a little bit yucky. I've got quite a bit of a cold at the moment, guys. Okay. Chapter 18. 18 of 20. So, chapter 18. This is where Greg loses interest. It's a joke about consent laws. I couldn't miss any more days of school as late. Why are you laughing like the Count? It's like 1 grooming allegation. 2 grooming allegations.
I thought you were going to go back to killing Turks. 1 dead Turk.
Mr. Snack Mix, thank you very much for the $5. Congrats on making it through this horror. Well, we haven't made it through yet.
How long have we been doing it for?
We've still got 3 fucking
Jesus
chapters.
Christ, people.
We did this in March.
So this has been basically the entirety of lockdown, and then post-lockdown, it's just been us reading this fucking abomination.
But we started way before that, I'm pretty sure.
Thank you, Renita-chan. Oh, don't worry, I'll send you a PDF of the Jeff the Killer X self-insert novelette. Despair Springs Eternal here.
Can we give money back?
Thank you, Save State. The ending will be James dumping Abby because she turned 18. And it's like, I'm sorry, Abby, you're just too old. Thank you, Uncle Palpy. Replace TE with Chris equals Lawrence of Aspergia?
Like, where did everyone get all this money?
Ah.
Well, that's the stream. Come back next week and give us more money.
Yes, so could you imagine just being that fucking cheeky? Just like, yeah, we couldn't finish the story, guys. We spent too long reading your super chats. Oh, God, it's so difficult being me, sitting here just counting all my money.
The first Stones to Abigail stream was on January the 28th. Oh my God.
It's taken us the better part of a year to read this book.
Bring on 2021. This is why we hate you.
Right. To be fair, at the rate we were reading it, even if there hadn't been a lockdown, it still probably would have taken at least fucking.
It would have taken longer because we'd have been allowed to go to work.
I would have liked to hang out and.
Yeah, we would have come by on the weekends.
Whew.
Is this a drinking game? It can be, Emily. It can be.
Everything's a drinking game if you work hard enough.
Yeah.
Right. Fucking chapter 8.
Thank you, Jenk Mel, for the unboxing sticker and the $1.99.
Thank you. I couldn't miss any more days of school, as Lakewood High had little tolerance for repeat absences. Had I not returned to school shortly after, they would invalidate the work I had already done that semester.
Wait, I got a question. Do you think Davis is going to get expelled?
So, well, you haven't been showing up to class, so...
He was expelled from life, that's what happened.
Man 12. Reading this book caused COVID. Yeah, Onision ought to apologise for giving everyone COVID with this novel. I'd pretty much done the same classes all year. Washington State History 1 and 2 covered my first and second semesters. My TA position was extended for the second semester. Meanwhile, gym class had yet to see Mr. Mac. So just Mr. Mac just made me giggle.
Some English book, thanks for the
just
£5.
fucking see Mr. Mac return! Sorry, I'm late. If I missed anything, we've literally just started.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry.
Mr. Mac returned. Hey, this is Mr. Mac.
It's like, that was Return of the Mac by that guy who sang Return of the Mac. Oh, for fuck's sake. It's just making me giggle.
Uncle Palpy. One brutally impaled Turkish heathen. Two brutally impaled Turkish heathen.
One battle-hardened prince turning and fleeing at the sight of his men impaled. History jokes. Right. As far as I knew, but I hadn't been to school. Fucking Mr. Mac. How can you write that line and like with all sincerity and just not be aware that it will make people laugh? But I hadn't been to school in a few days. As I walked into school, it felt like nothing had changed. Like no one knew Davis had even existed in the first place. I mean, and that's for the best, isn't it? Really.
Well, considering how at the same time, I was thinking he seems to be the only person you seem to be friends with is you. But at the same time, he's so loud. Like, how would anyone miss him at the same time?
To be fair, Davis could be a figment of his imagination.
That would genuinely improve the story. Like, it would still be garbage, but like if it turned out like Davis, like the whole funeral was imagined, like none of it was real. It was the madness of being in Abby's presence.
Absolutely.
Like it's driven him mad. He was actually a normal boy before they met.
Yeah.
Before he went into those dark tunnels.
Underneath that church in rural England.
You read Sutter Kane.
Yeah. Do you read Gregory Jackson?
I was like, do you read?
Such a stupid joke.
Yeah, like you say, he's probably turned out to be imaginary, but I reckon it's going to go the other way. He's going to come back as a Force ghost and tell Greg that he has all the Jedi in him or something.
Disappointingly, this is the special edition of Stone Star Abbigale, where Davis's ghost is played by Hayden Christensen.
And he's like a Force ghost with like sellotape all over his face, like trying to make him laugh.
Oh, I forgot about the thing with the sellotape. That was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah. You were looking at me like it was insane there for like at least about 5 seconds.
Because I hadn't got a fucking clue what you're on about.
Renita-chan, thanks for the $4.99. Mod guest read part of his newest book. It's even worse than Reaper's Creek. Yeah.
We managed to get like the first chapter, didn't we? Basically, someone leaked it because it's available on his Patreon, and somebody's leaked it. But her video, I watched her video on Cuties. It was quite funny. Just like the kind of unsea juice, the little FBI hat for her cat.
I love the way she says, Mr. Onion. Some English bloke, thanks for the £5. Surely if Greg were to imagine anyone to hang around him, it would be an underage girl. Yeah. Lol, just got Mouth of Madness on Blu-ray. It's great on Blu-ray.
It's really good, yeah.
Ours is a German.
Yeah, we have the German copy because annoyingly there isn't a UK version. But luckily the film itself is in English. Like you just turn off the German subtitles if you want. But yeah, it's not dubbed or anything, which is good. But like all the text on the box is in German. Oh. I'm still giggling at this. Greg, imagine. We should change Greg. If I'd known about the CREEPYPASTA thing back in January, I would have just given Greg CREEPYPASTA's voice for this entire thing.
And I walked into school, it felt like nothing had changed.
Oh, God, could you imagine CREEPYPASTA narrating this? I mean, obviously he'd have his dick in one hand while he was doing it, but just like, I couldn't miss any more days of school. I never miss school, even now, years after I've left.
Because now I'm the janitor.
It's a good hunting ground.
Had they not all lost over 40 people?
I'm not a pedo, you hear me? She was 17 and a half. Ah! Sam Smith as Gregory Jackson in the mouth of Abness. Just him getting dragged by the police. Just like, I am not a pedo.
This is not reality, not reality.
I don't want to know what he's watching at the end of the film. What's on the cinema screen?
It's just cuties. Alright guys, well, we're 3 paragraphs in.
Yeah. Today's taking us 10 minutes.
Can someone out there make like a bridge of these, please? Because there's no way you could actually listen to the whole book the way we've done it. There's just no way.
Pterodax, thanks for the $5. I hope this story ends with Obama realizing his mistake and calling in a drone strike.
Oh, I forgot he met the president, didn't he?
Yeah! Now, Greg, I understand you failed to stop a school shooting, and you also wore Heelys. Heelys are very cool.
I am also very cool.
I don't strike everyone.
Movie Bob book next.
Yes! We have actually talked about this, haven't we, of doing Super Mario Bros. Brick by brick.
Yep.
To be honest,
brick by boring brick.
I'll be honest with you though, I think like Movie Bob's Twitter is so much more fascinating than anything he could actually write as a book.
You could do a dramatic reading of his Twitter.
Just to do his various like weird pro-eugenics tweets. I can't like. Isn't it weird that like a big? Oh my god! If somebody out there, is anybody here in the chat? Is anyone here in the chat capable of making a making VR chat avatars? Because there's some I would be happy to pay for. One of them is a really accurate Movie Bob avatar in the Super Mario Brothers costume, the denim overalls and everything. I genuinely would pay pretty good money for that. Second, I'd quite like a really good Nostalgia Critic or Linkara one as well. But if somebody could make a Bob Chipman one, I'd never be Spider Kong again. Basically, I'd just be Bob Chipman. Fucking hell.
I think I lost over 40 people.
The prior year in the shooting, I would have been angered, but tragedy was becoming the theme of our school and my own life. You could say I thought the theme of your life was grooming children. You could say we were all stronger because of it. But strength and numbness are two different things. When you can't feel anything because you've been beaten to a point where your senses stop functioning, like you're trying to do a nice video and your boyfriend's just abusing you and throwing fucking Halloween candy at you. You don't really have to be strong to endure it. To many people who remain in a state of numbness, every new blow is nearly indistinguishable from the strikes prior. Excuse me. Some call it some twisted way to force us into surviving, despite the conditions being unacceptable in most every way. Renita-chan, thank you. I wrote a little of a story recently, and I make an effort to not be anything like this nonce. Well, that's good. This is somebody you should aspire to never ever be. Uncle Palpy, thank you. Bob Chipman considers himself the Ubermensch. I mean, you're not wrong, and that's part of what makes it so funny. How's it, Rach? Thank you. Big thanks for that. I would make an abridged version, but I don't hate myself that much. Fair enough. Make the ghost of Jew Wario. Oh my god, if someone could make a Jew Wario that was actually like a ghost, like a glowing, like blue ghost, maybe like no legs, like just like a little spectral trail, like Casper. just going up to all the people with like little kid avatars, like hello.
I lost brain cells from this book.
So I lost brain cells from this book.
Not my fault. I didn't know she was 3.
Didn't know she was 3. I didn't know she was 12, even though she told me.
She was on my channel.
Ooh. He's not even dead. Till someone knifes him in prison. It's alright, I mean, like, he won't be able to post on YouTube anymore, but he can always get a job making movies for Netflix. Where the fuck am I? When my TA period began, Miss Robertson paid me a visit. Thank you, Prado with no chat. Get back to the story already. We're so close to finishing, Jacob. I'm working on it! Jacob, are you gonna read the next paragraph? The next paragraph will be done when it's done. By the way, if you haven't already, everybody should subscribe to Vince12 because he's reading he's reading Linkara's books, which are they're just amazing. They're books he wrote before he was famous, and Jesus Christ, it's wow. What's it called? Angel Armor is the book series. Ridiculous. The book is finished when it's finished. She walked over to me. Oh my god, I'm trying. I'm really but I can't not burst out laughing. She walked over to me grading papers and asked,
"So, how have you liked working with Mr. Hansen?"
I replied saying, I called the police when he showed up at my house. I like it just fine. She looked over to Mr. Hansen and said,
"Would you like to tell him now?"
Why'd you take us?
It's never not been funny.
Mr. Hansen smiled and walked to the front of his desk. He leaned against it, but his weight caused it to slide backwards. Quickly, he stumbled to stand and blurted out.
Yes, absolutely. James, we were thinking of you taking on a special role next year.
I looked at him, lacking any feeling or sign of enthusiasm, but he continued.
We wanted you to run for school president, and this whole TA business. The whole TA business is just about figuring out if you're the right person for the position.
School president. Is that even a thing? I sat and stared at them as if they were playing a sick game with me. But they didn't know I had just lost a friend. They only knew what I was willing to tell them, which was pretty much. I feel like if I feel like the teachers would know that one of their students had passed away.
You think
like,
so?
This is post-funeral as well. It's not like he died yesterday.
It's an American school. It's American school. They drop like flies.
Pterodax, thank you very much for the $5. You just reminded me of the guy who got into a high-speed chase so he could copyright strike the news channel. What?
What?
That's fucking Galaxy Brain 4D chess.
Someone's like, TA business?
You really just messed with my schedule so I could run for a position that you didn't even know if I wanted. I asked in a monotone voice, as opposed to how expressive you usually are. Ms. Robertson replied,
I know we've had our bumps, but judging by Mr. Hansen's positive feedback, you have the strength and sense of integrity we would look for in someone who was running for the school president.
I replied, "So assaulting 4 jocks in front of the school, that was integrity." Miss Robertson's posture completely changed. She was clearly offended and replied,
"You heard what that boy said to me? Obviously, he and his friends, they..."
I could see she knew she was about to say something that no guidance counsellor could justify saying. Mr. Hanson continued,
"We believe in your decision-making skills, and unlike other schools, the school president here has actual power."
It's just, again, like, it's so Onision-y, isn't it? To just be like, the school president here has actual power. It's just like, I will be the king of all the children. The jocks will burn.
He'll be like the king in Recess?
Yeah, like King Bob.
King Bob!
Like, also, you say, like, this is so...
James, put that up on the screen.
Look, I don't want greatness thrust upon me. Like, these teachers trying to make it so I'm so powerful. I just want to be humble and not show off my greatness. Like, Jesus Christ.
I saw some hair scrunchies in a store today that had risk of cancer and reproductive harm. I have photo evidence. America is wild.
You need to send these to me.
Yeah, please do. Could you Instagram me the pictures, please? Just DM them to me. Greg has no integrity. Right. Fucking impossible for me to read. Right now, my mouth and throat feel disgusting. Gemma, would you like to swap for a while?
Sure. What's
Gemma, could you go get Jacob a lemsip or something?
We'll just take. I have got a lemsip in the kitchen. I'll get one after my beer.
Where are we?
Places? I think we're on. They have repeatedly in the past become a pain to deal with. You're still in the stands
right.
anyway. Do you want to swap seats because it's easier to see that.
Okay.
Just realised I'm still talking like miles from the microphone. I was like, what?
What's happening? Right, They have repeatedly in the past become a complete pain to deal with. We think you're different and think you could actually do something good for the entire school, instead of just causing a headache for the faculty. I replied,
"There's no guarantee I'll be successful. You could have put all this faith in me for nothing."
Ms. Robertson jumped and said loudly, "We're not going to let the students have another election where they only have an idiot and a moron to choose between. You will win because the people who are right for the job rarely wants it. James, you're exactly the person who needs to do this." I looked down at my desk silently.
Pterodax, thank you. When the hell did the guidance counsellor beat up jocks? No, it was Greg who beat up the jocks. And beat up, fought dirty, kicked him in the balls through dirt and that kind of thing. She should have started her own spin-off book, Kung Fu Counselor. No, but I would read that. Bioman12, thank you very much. Never give Onion Boy authority over children.
Mr. Hanson said, "You're a good
The new school uniform. I'm introducing school uniforms. Have you ever seen Return of the Jedi? You're all going to be wearing Leia slave outfits."
I don't know why, but when you said like school uniforms, I said, "Have you ever seen?" I thought you were going to say Legend of the Overfeet.
He's going to turn into a giant demon and absorb people with his giant monster dick.
Well, I do think that Greg and CREEPYPASTA have seen Legend of the Overfeet.
Many times. So we were watching the 100 Greatest Cartoons, which is like an old Channel 4 thing, right?
From 2005.
And fucking Legend of the Overfiend was on there, and I was like, who voted for that?
Literally, that was the thing everyone said. All the people,
yeah,
all the
guests. Yeah, but you'd note they'd all seen it though. All these celebrity guests were like, "Who the fuck voted for this?" It's a movie. Like,
literally, everyone in my fucking year saw it. Like, they had a VHS that was passed around at school.
I saw the first 30 minutes of it with my mum. Right, and we were at about rape number 3, and we decided to turn it off. Or I was just like, you know what, Mum, I don't feel this is appropriate for us to be watching together. And she's like, I agree. Let's turn this off and
we should watch it separately.
Yeah.
I think I'd never speak of this again.
He's like, I'll have it at the weekend. No, it was.
You're a good kid, one of the best, I think. I wouldn't say if it wasn't true. Ms. Robertson proceeded to leave the room. I just felt surprised she was even willing to talk to me after I lectured her about her failures as guidance counsellor.
Like, is this some sort of like drug smuggling operation that these two have? And like, oh, if he becomes president, we can blame her. Like, what is this sudden like? Oh, we all believe in you now. We know you're gonna win the presidency. Like, where the fuck did this come from?
Thank you, Cameron. Last week I had to have a serious root canal done. I would rather experience a dozen more than to ever read any of Onision's books. I too have had very serious, not recently, but very serious root canal surgery after my tooth was broken in half by thugs, and I must say that was more pleasant than reading this. Although I was much more out of pocket after that. It was expensive.
Yeah, this is kind of the exact opposite of that.
Yeah.
It felt like hours, but finally my TA class was over, and I headed over to gym class where I saw someone I didn't quite recognise standing in the middle of the gym. As I walked closer, I realised it was Mr. Mac, only with a massive scar on the side of his face.
See, I'm just like, I saw someone I didn't recognise at the gym, then I realised it was a mirror. It was the first time I'd been to a gym.
Only with a massive scar on the side of his face that led past his hairline. Cope?
Where are we?
Mr. Mac!
It's my best friend in the whole world. Mr. Mac!
I screamed. He turned to me and smiled. Hey, kiddo! he said. With a smile on my face, I asked.
I'm so glad you're back. That's not a question. I'm so glad you're back. How are you feeling?
Mr. Mac responded, well, for a guy who got shot twice, and not bad.
You just love the way Greg writes dialogue. Thank you, Uncle Palpy. Wait, you mean to tell me that a bunch of celebrities of all people voted for a cartoon rife with sexual assault and rape? Gentlemen, stop the presses.
After a moment of thought, I realised this was the first time I genuinely smiled since Davis died. It was just nice to see the only teacher who really came close to bonding with me alive and well after his hospitalisation.
But he came close to bonding with me. We nearly had a rapport, but it didn't work out.
It's like we nearly assimilated with each other. Mr. Mac then reminded me I wasn't dressed for gym yet, so I ran off to the locker room. As I returned to the main gym, I could see all the students surrounding Mr. Mac. In this moment, I felt a small piece of luck shine on me.
I thought he was going to say he felt jealous. All these children around a person that should be me.
It was so clear that despite my tardiness, I managed to come back on the first day Mr. Mac was back.
Who writes like this? What is wrong with you? Uncle Palpy, thank you again. He turned to me as if to say, Onion boy, the cops are all here waiting for you.
He had all of us play dodgeball, just like the first day I attended his class, but this time Raymond was on my team, and just as before, our team was lucky enough to claim victory.
Yeah, that's because he hasn't got to throw the ball, he can just throw his fists.
Catch the hands.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, I just because Ray-Ban.
Yeah.
Just like revs his fist up and...
Raymond.
Do people still know who Rayman is? I don't know.
Just Google it.
I'm such a fucking boomer. I don't even know what people know anymore.
There was a decent...
Sonic? Is that still a thing?
There was a decent amount of time left in class, so Mr. Mac decided to tell us about his experiences in the hospital. He told us how many days...
You see, I was shitting through a tube every day.
Like, they put this thing in me called a catheter.
It's like, how was hospital?
Oh, it was great! They stuck a pipe in my urethra!
I don't know why he's Toad. I'm just...
Mario!
It's just like Toad, just like... How was hospital Toad?
They stuck this pipe in my urethra! I haven't eaten solid food in 8 weeks!
Oh, gee whiz, Toad. I'm sorry to hear that. Like, what do you normally eat?
Bacon and scallops!
Can you stop doing that voice? It keeps like glitching out my fucking Discord.
His told us how many days he stayed there, how many surgeries he has to have, and he also thanked us for the gifts and visits he received from many of the students. His told us. Nice. Proofread. As he talked, time flew by much faster than it ever did when we played games. Likely...
This fuck... I'm actually gonna... I can't believe I'm about to defend Greg here. Someone just wrote, today in literature class, I read some of Macbeth. In comparison, this book is horrific. I mean, that is Shakespeare. I feel like that's completely unfair. If you'd gone, yeah, I read Mockingjay, and in comparison, this is much, much worse. I'm like, yeah, that's, shitty young adult fiction. But is much better than this. It's like, oh, yeah, read something by arguably the greatest playwright of all time. Plague Doctor, am I happy to see you guys, or did someone just put a canoe in my pocket? Woof! I added the woof, but everything else was him.
I never heard about some of the things he talked about and found it really fascinating. Sitting in the hospital day after day post-school shooting for as long as he did, Mr. Mack no doubt had played out the scenario he endured hundreds of times in his mind. I guess we were the right audience for him to let all his thoughts out to. I felt lucky. As we left the gym together, Abby and I were holding hands as we always did. Walking outside to head to the building our classes were in, I could see Ms. Robertson stomping towards us with a scowl on her face, accompanied by 2 police officers. They'd finally caught him.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got it.
It would be so much better if it was Mr. Hanson instead of the fucking Miss Robinson.
Yes!
Oh, yeah.
That would be amazing.
No doubt.
I immediately thought of everything I had done wrong or felt guilty for, and I assumed I was being punished for the fight I'd gotten in with the jocks, especially since I blatantly admitted what happened in my TA class earlier that day in the presence of Miss Robertson. Contrary to my assumption, by looking closer at Miss Robertson's eyes, I could now see she was focused on Abby. She was staring at Abby so intensely, her 1,000 eyes staring back at her, and she went mad. She was staring at Abby so intensely, it was almost as if she hadn't even noticed I was there.
Have you seen that that GIF? It's from a Power Rangers episode, and it's just 2 of the Power Rangers like clutching their heads and sort of shaking violently, and it just says H.P. Lovecraft protagonists when they see a fish man.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
So Abigail going mad looking upon her reminded me of that.
A wave of fear overtook me. Nervously, I softly said, "Cope."
Sorry, I'm just going to read this. Uncle Octopus, thank you. I believe that every time Raymond gets someone out, he screams, "I need lumps! Lumps!" God, I shouldn't do that with my throat.
Lumps!
Right, where are we?
Abby. Nervously, I softly said,
Abby.
to alert her of the situation. Looking over at Abby, I could see she knew something I did not. Miss Robertson loudly said, "Abigail, I need you to come with us!" Abby looked at me with terror in her face. One of the officers grabbed her by the arm.
I'm going to go get a lemsip from the kitchen.
Okay.
Obviously, it takes a moment to heat the kettle and everything, so just do, if Greg dialogue comes up, just do an impression of the voice I've been doing.
Okay. Abby looked at me with terror in her face. One of the officers grabbed her by the arm.
Oh, that's a lot of beer. Sorry, I just looked in that bag.
Yes, there is a lot of beer in the house. And there's in the fridge. As he walked her away, she had her free hand on her face, as if she was guilt-stricken by something. I was trapped in analytical state again.
Well, you know this is fiction because they're arresting the wrong person.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. Sorry, I'm just looking back at, if I missed anything.
Does it really matter?
No. Alright, here we are. Having seen the guilty posture she had taken and the look in her eyes, I found myself consumed by the feeling that the person I loved most had betrayed me. How could I so quickly doubt her after all we'd been through?
Yeah, how could you?
I mumbled to myself aloud. I loved her more than anything or anyone. I didn't even care about what she had done, as it didn't make a difference. She was everything to me. Without a second thought, I chased after them, following them to Ms. Robertson's office. I don't know what's happening. It's like, God, I shouldn't do that with my throat, Jacob 2020. Also, that's what she said. Alright, the 2 officers took Abby inside, leaving Ms. Robertson outside the room. As I approached Ms. Robertson in her office, she jumped in my face hysterically, saying loudly, "This is what I was talking about! This is what I warned you!" What was that, Matt?
She said she jumped in his face, so she flew into the portal that is his face.
Yeah, it's like just giant thing in the middle of the room. Jumped through into the deeper recesses of space. Her finger was shaking in my face, but I ignored her clear emotional imbalance and asked, "What exactly is going on?" She replied, somewhat relieved but strongly condescending, "You've been dating her for how long and you don't know?" I replied, "No." She answered, "I can't tell you, but if she didn't pull you into this, well, it just makes me happy that you're not also an accomplice." "Accomplice to what?" I asked. But Ms. Robertson took a step back, crossed her arms and refused
She's
to
been
say
cooking mess.
anything else. Jacob. Ray J27, thanks for the $4.99. Jacob, let's read Onision book. Gem, this is a great start to our relationship. We've been together nearly 5 years.
It wasn't the Onision book that brought them together, it was the Patreon, it was.
Oh yeah. Prado with an O, thanks for the $9.99. So even after all the simping, Onion Boy is painting the Lovecraftian underage abomination with the sexy abuse cars as the bigger criminal than itself. Alright, inside the office, the police already had closed the blinds. All I could hear was them talking in stern, muffled voices as Abby responded as softly in a collected tone. I was happy that whatever was going on, Abby was handling it with a level head. I had never known her to lose her temper or act irrationally, but this event created fear and doubt that the person I had fallen for may not have been who. No. No more of this. I have to have faith in her. Wait, you're not...
Yes, because without belief, she is nothing.
She didn't deserve my support. She didn't deserve my support. She relied on it.
If this was written by a narcissistic kiddie fiddler, I think it'd be great if she was like running drugs or something like that, and then just blamed it all on Onision's character, and then the rest of it is just him going to prison or something. I got put in a cell with Big Bubba. It wasn't ironic. He wrecked my butthole.
It's like
he can't be his prison wife.
Of prison rape, just like chapter upon chapter.
Welcome to the cum zone.
No, like it says to be continued, and then the next book is just 20 chapters of him being raped in prison.
Can you imagine
It's
like,
like,
chapters had names like chapter 1, the first day of school, it was like chapter 20, the cum zone. Like, how the fuck did I get from here to here?
All the chapter names have weird, like great. They're all just like really like poncy names like Great Expectations of being bumped.
Uncle Palpy, thanks for the £5. Stop right there, criminal scum. Nobody breaks the laws of reality on my watch. I'm confiscating all your stolen gods. Now pay the fee or off to jail. Yeah, and Creepypasta called One Stormy Night. Yeah. It was One Stormy Night and Terraria the Stone Pentagram. That was his 2-story episode. Yeah. Damn, that was a while ago. She didn't... Wait, no, I've read that. Like two pillars leaning against only the other, if one of us fell, we would find ourselves both shattered to pieces on the floor.
Although on next chapter, I'll jump back in if you like, just so it's fair.
That's why I was gonna make a reference, but it was to Game of Thrones season 8, and I didn't want to post like say a spoiler. But it will have to over a year.
Because Game of Thrones
Spoilers
season 8,
shit.
Definitely don't want that spoiled for you.
Yeah.
Because God knows
Spoilers.
we would
Get crushed by
feel
Jamie and
disappointed.
get crushed by stealing.
I know. I just don't want to be mean.
Implying that basically Game of Thrones is worth watching after the 4th season.
After about 30 minutes, one of the officers opened the door to let her out. Abby walked out, not knowing how I would react, and I immediately walked up to her and hugged her. She whimpered with a sound of relief. Ooh!
Ooh woo.
Miss Robertson saw this and exploded into a rage, screaming, "You're letting her go!" One of the cops replied,
There's no real proof that she did anything.
Miss Robertson yelled, "She is responsible for everyone who died in the shooting."
What did I miss?
She told her boyfriend to do it. To
Nothing.
all the letters you found in Seth's home. It was her hand.
No.
What?
No, absolutely not. Like, she's not responsible, and no fucking. Isn't she the guidance counselor?
Yeah.
No guidance counselor.
Oh,
She said some irresponsible things to someone who's mentally ill, and they're all teenagers, and I have to kind of look after them. It's her fault that all these people died. This mentally damaged girl. It's her fault. All these people are dead. I don't know if a guidance counselor would say that.
No. Miss Robertson.
Actually, yes, I do. She wouldn't.
No.
There you go.
Miss Robertson abruptly stopped speaking. Like an irresponsible child, she shouted something she could neither prove nor had the right to say. All she can do now is give up. One of the officers replied.
What's that?
There. Like I said.
Like I said, you're speculating. She didn't use the specific wording needed to. We literally just...
The officer paused and rolled his eyes, realizing none of his words were resonating with her. He continued.
Never mind. You just go about your business and leave that girl alone.
The two officers immediately began heading out as Ms. Robertson turned to us with an enraged look in her eyes. The Bean Daddy, why did Gemma say you're letting her go? Sound like you're lifting her goat? Do you know that's the second time someone has said that I've sounded like that? Something I've said has sounded like something else. Last night I was doing something where I had to say the word coward. I was like, I'm the coward, and they were convinced I said the word carrot.
Pterodax, thank you. Two pillars leaning against each other called Samson.
Alright, I was still trying to cope with what I just heard. Abby turned to me looking worried that I was going to react as if I believed everything Miss Robertson said, but I didn't. I couldn't take the side of a woman. I couldn't take the side of a woman.
Just
Girls or
Abbigale,
nothing.
The first published novel by Doge.
Who was proving herself to be progressively losing her mind, and who also had a clear, biased agenda over my beautiful, loving Abby. In a soft, slightly quivering voice, Abby said to me, "I didn't say that, I promise." I replied, "Promises."
I told him to stab everyone, not shoot them.
Promises are for people who can't be trusted on their word alone. I'll always believe you, Abby.
She grabbed me and hugged me as Ms. Robertson yelled, "Oh, you two are perfect for each other!" And I muttered in response with a slight smile, "Ugh." I'm sorry, Cobe.
Perfectly imperfect.
I feel dirty.
What's
Can you
really
say
weird
it
though,
again
like,
without
that we just
speaking
got,
directly from the mic, Jake, because I didn't hear what you said.
we just had a comment come in on Stone Step Abbigale Part 1, which contained... it's just this comment 1 minute ago. Can I add that perfect imperfection is an oxymoron? So the phrase perfect imperfection pops up in chapter fucking 1.
Oh my Jesus Christ.
And we've just had someone post a comment about it.
That's weird.
That is weird, but slightly amusing.
Abby gave out...
I don't know why I said it like a South African man.
Abby gave out a sad laugh, accompanied by her already falling tears in response. We never stopped reminding ourselves how wonderful it was to have each other, and took so much pride in knowing we would always be there for one another. I walked Abby to her next class and headed over to mine immediately after. We were both late, but neither of our teachers seemed to care. The shooting changed how a lot of teachers treated us, not just with tardiness. There were rules they'd regularly ignore that they never did before, all the sake of not upsetting us.
I feel like I mean, again, I'm no expert, but I feel like the rules would become stricter after a shooting.
You'd think.
Like, didn't they, like, after Columbine start putting up, like, screens and things like that in schools? Like, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Like, metal detectors and all that kind of stuff. And, like, random searches and things.
Yeah, that, or at least at Sandy Hook and everything like that. Anyway, after school, Abby and I met on the bus and sad vehicle... Well, wait, sorry, I read that wrong. After school, Abby and I met on the bus, a sad vehicle that had become little more than a painful reminder we would never see Davis again.
Looked at the shit stains on the bus.
It amazed me how buses in general were completely ruined for me, but I didn't have a choice in the matter.
To be fair, bus rides are pretty shit as it is.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I hate riding the bus.
Doesn't he have a car? Didn't he have a car or something earlier?
No, yes, he did have a car at one point. I think Abby has a car. One of them can drive. But he and David always used to get the school bus.
Even if I did, in a way the pain just brought me closer to him. I kept wondering when the heartache would end. Maybe it never will. Arriving home, Abby closed the front door and said, "I need to talk to you." I walked over to my room, dropped my bag to the floor and sat on my bed. "I told the police the truth," she said. I replied.
"Then that you are completely innocent."
She responded, "Not exactly, James." I felt the familiar...
She reaches up, pulls out her mask. She's Seth. She's been Seth the entire time.
Well, look at me. I am the alpha. Felt...
No wonder you had to shift your balls out of the way of your asshole when I fucked you in your vagina. It was really weird.
In fact, Greg, you are the school shooter. You've always been the school shooter. And I should know, Greg. I've always been here. Just gets really weird in the last few chapters.
I heard a sad vehicle.
He had no idea how to finish it, so he just huffed a bunch of glue and wrote it.
I heard a sad vehicle as I sat the occult. That one's dead entirely on me, though. Is everyone reading me wrong? I felt the familiar wave of panic overtake me, my heart giving me a horrible sinking feeling. My head lowered. I lost eye contact with her and I remained silent. She then said, "When I was dating Seth, I was really messed up. You know that." I maintained my silence, listening, hoping she wasn't going to say something that would rip me in half. Tentacles coming out.
She would say something that would rip me in half. Like, she genuinely has that, like, her words are so powerful they can physically, like, manifest as, you know, like, as boils and sores on the human body.
It's like a shout in, like, Skyrim. Like, okay, where am I?
I don't know why the guidance counselors go into all this, you know, trouble when what she could do is just paint a binding circle in her, you know, office, and just with the right combination of words and, you know, smelly candles, boom, sorted.
Just banish her back to the nether abyss.
Yeah. Abigail sleeps for another 1,000 years.
Yep.
When I was depressed and cutting, I told Seth in multiple letters that I wished everyone would just disappear, but that's...
Instantly, like a muscle response, I stood up, turning her remaining words into a silent panic, and walked into the bathroom, slamming the door behind me.
I found it so hot I had to go jack off.
Pterodax, thank you. I wonder what the book's version of Alex Jones had to say about the shooting. Would he focus on the interdimensional monstrosity or the paedophile?
Sorry, I just saw someone's comment, Astromoth, saying, "I cut this man in half!"
Uncle Palpy, what if the real stones were the state lines we crossed along the way? Fucking hell.
I began pulling off my clothes, alone in the bathroom, and turned on the shower. Even the sound...
Alone in the bathroom and turned on. Thinking about all those dead school children. And my crying, panicking girlfriend in the next room.
Even the sound...
You know, like, we've been making fun of him all this time, and then he just crosses a fucking line.
Even the sound of the warm water shooting out of the shower head and smacking against the back of the tub couldn't disguise the sound of Abby crying in the other room. I got into the shower, collapsed on the floor, and lost myself in thought. I was overwhelmed by the fact Abby just admitted she told someone who wound up being a school shooter that she wished everyone would disappear.
Again, not her fault though. Like, what is with the way Greg thinks? Like,
it's like he's trying to paint it as like, oh, this is a big hurt, like the last big hurdle of our relationship that we need to overcome, and then it's like no, this is really like. It's dumb. It's
this
like,
is how
I wish it disappeared.
This is how the conversation should go for like normal people. I had all this fucking teenage angst, and I said I wished everyone would disappear to my boyfriend, and he ended up shooting up the school, and I can't help but feel a bit responsible. To choose your place. That's ridiculous. It's not your fault at all. You said some things because you were upset. Every young person thinks things like that. He was a very, very sick...
Your ex-boyfriend was disturbed in the head, and
he was a very sick person, and it's not your fault that he didn't get the help he needed and he did this terrible thing. It's his fault, not yours. There you go. That's all. Why is this like? I don't know. I just hate the way Greg thinks and writes and abuses
to be
children.
fair, this is the sort of stupid approach a 14-year-old might take.
The Orange Wizard. If only Davis were here, he would most likely to coat, seal, and repair. Thank you, Cameron Delk, for the $3. The best version of Greg, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, the kind of person that blames like a depressed individual.
All right,
for a school shooting.
So you have to say she didn't tell him to kill him.
She didn't tell him to kill anyone.
I told myself.
She didn't actually say she wanted him to do anything.
I thought my arms wrapped... I thought with my arms wrapped around my knees with my head resting on my arms. The water poured around the side of my face and into my eyes. I looked down to see I hadn't even remembered to remove my boxers. I felt like my life was just another sad, tear-dread sob story and happiness was only the intermission. And then asked myself...
Who hasn't wished someone wasn't there? Who hasn't wished it? Why the I fucking hate Greg so much. Like, he's actually like this in real life as well. Like, he gets so upset about, like, other people's shit. Like, some girl he was seeing smoked weed on New Year's Eve and he just fucking flipped out. Like, dude, just calm the fuck down. Like, just you fucking psychopath.
Plague Doctor, thanks for the $5. I used to think my life was a tragedy. Now I realise it's a try not to cringe compilation.
I was about to make the same joke. To be like, I used to think my life was a cringe compilation. Now I realise it's a try not to laugh challenge. Effectively the same joke.
Prada with an O, thanks for the $4.99. It's not her fault Seth was an even bigger simp than Greg.
I mean, really, it's the parents' fault for naming him Seth. I mean, what did they expect?
Alright, Cope.
It's not the North and the 1940s.
Yeah.
You can't just call somebody
You can get away with calling Seth if, 1940 or the North, or you're some sort of ancient Greek god.
And
I
there's
don't
only one
think he was
ancient god in
either.
this story, as we've discussed.
Yeah.
Rick doesn't count as a god. He's a demigod.
No, it's Erebus the Black Pharaoh.
Yeah.
Weed is bad, but grooming kids is okay. Sure logic. Uncle Palpy, thanks for the £5. Given the relationship, it wouldn't surprise me at all if a little bit of Davis was still swimming about in James.
Let's continue to rage, shall we?
Yeah, let's do that. Cope?
Where are we?
Who hasn't wished they were all alone?
Who hasn't wished they were all alone? When they feel like everyone around them doesn't understand them, that doesn't mean they want to see people get shot. It doesn't mean they would genuinely want anyone to be subjected to that kind of suffering.
I then reminded myself that we all make our own happiness. I could continue to view sorrow and emptiness as the main theme in my life.
Dude, shut the fuck up.
This wasn't the fault of uncontrollable conditions. I had a choice. I was going to choose to stand up, turn off the water, and return to catch the tears of the women I loved.
Dude, what? Yeah, you know what? You've got a choice, Greg. You can choose to text girls your own age. How about that? Fucking prick.
You could choose to, turn yourself into the police.
He can choose to turn himself into a pickle.
Funniest thing.
Opening up the bathroom door, still soaking, I could see Abby across the hall looking up with tears still running down her face. She was scared. She didn't know why I had come back out. I approached her and lifted her up by the centre of her back and back of her leg, just as I had in the middle of her class some time ago. That sounds painful. She cried, giving me a sad,
the way
scared
you put it sounds like I picked her up, or Princess carried her, or anything. This is the way he put sounds retarded.
It does sound retarded.
I don't understand.
As I pulled her close to me, I replied,
Where are we? Sorry. You didn't want anyone to die. You just wanted to be alone so no one could judge you or hurt you anymore. That's not uncommon, and you did nothing wrong.
losing my sight, losing my mind. Wish somebody would tell me I'm fine.
Well, you always told her she was fine, so it's fine.
She let out a loud cry of relief and wrapped her arms around me. I kissed her on the neck as I held her whole body. She gave out a tearful laugh and said, "You're all wet." I smiled and laid her on the bed.
Oh no! Oh no! No!
I chose happiness.
Alright, let's back to me then. Fucking hell.
Chapter 19.
He's catching Abby's tears in a jar. Yeah, does that jar have a little My Little Pony figure in it? Uncle Palpy, I threw myself into an onion. I'm Pedo Rick. I can't believe we're swapping over here.
Ow.
Fucking chapter.
Don't worry, there's only like 4 pages left or something.
Yeah, we're right. Well, there's
6 pages.
are these really short chapters then?
Yeah, there's only 6 pages left.
The next school day, I walked hand in hand with Into.
What?
Confused.
Just make
The
sure I'm
ceremony
not
was complete.
Okay. The next school day, I walked hand in hand with Into the school building and immediately saw most every set of eyes in the room turn to us.
What?
No, it's not me, it's Greg. She stopped walking, realizing
It's
right
always
away.
Greg.
She stopped walking and then started slithering.
Realizing
Her
right
legs
away
fell from under her.
exactly why she was being looked at.
Spike!
What Mrs. Robertson... Sorry, Spike's being cute. Sorry. What Mrs. Robertson screamed in front of all the students in the hall had spread around the day prior like an infectious disease. Why is this woman still allowed to work at a school? As we walked only a few yards past security...
Yeah, especially, like, okay, I mean, you could have got away with it before by saying, oh, it's some sort of, like, poor-ass school that no one cares about, but the school the President of the United States just went to, like, 2 days ago.
It's ridiculous.
Thank you, Pterodax. The only reason he was able to lift her was because most of her mass doesn't exist in this dimension.
Wait, how thing Turbo Virgin not apprehended by the police yet?
You cannot perceive me, Greg. Don't even try. Just love me. Love me and despair.
Garnet Bizanson, thanks for the 5 Canadian bucks. This literary crap makes the dialogue in porn sound like Shakespeare.
Tried to find some sort of some Shakespearean porn. You know, I wanted to see some girls in nice old-fashioned costumes, but when I typed in period porn, wasn't what I That's the joke. It's a joke about how period has multiple meanings. What you gotta hit that subscribe button, ring the little bell to enable notifications. Fucking, I'm such a funny cunt. Ugh.
Yeah, Jacob, if you really wanted to follow that, you'll be playing Fortnite all the time.
Our suspicion became a reality when someone ran up to her, throwing a can of black paint to cover her upper body, just falling short of her face. Abby gasped as the paint collided with her clothes.
Did someone was there just a guy on campus just like carrying that black paint around just in case?
It's like I wonder if I'm gonna. I mean, there's like 500 students. I wonder if I'm gonna run into Abbigale by any chance.
Well, she is so massive you can see her across the horizon, and like all her tentacles and eyes.
It's like paranoia looking over my back. It's like a whirlwind inside of my head. That's a great song.
Well, Abigail can put actual whirlwinds inside your head, so she has that power. She has many powers.
You actually got my name right, Gemma. Thank you very much. I would say the same for you, but you spelt it with a J, where it's really a G. But thank you.
One thing this does, as long as porn scripts have better and more investing story. One thing that does make this feel like porn is that the sex is really gross. It makes me want to throw up.
But really, what it needs is Louis Theroux dressed as a Mountie coming in.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
They went to spit on her. But I'm such a child. I know, like, no one's gonna like me for making a reference to a meme from like 5 years ago, but I just thought about that stupid Uganda Knuckles thing with the spitting. And now I've just pictured all these little tiny, like, fat echidnas just, like, spitting on her.
Look, Jacob,
I'm so sorry.
VR chat earlier,
I'm so sorry.
When is Rick coming back? I miss his silly voice.
We're actually going to have to write a spin-off ourselves and read it.
Ah, you're a shirtlifter, eh? I served with one of your tribe in Nam.
We're jungle rice.
Tasted fine. He's like Gilgamesh mixed with Cotton Hill. Ah, you're weak, boy. I bet a Nazi's windpipe in half. I miss him, I do.
He was like the best. He is
the first
the
sentence.
best part of the story.
Talking about Abigail and Rocket Fist Rick, the first fucking sentence I looked down at is everyone began screaming. My hand back to the fucking next time into the ground. Everyone began screaming.
It turns out like the paint destroyed her shell and her real being came out.
The paint, a sound I'd become sick of hearing every time a slightly stimulating event occurred in their no doubt mundane daily lives. No doubt, I mean, like, there's been numerous tragedies and the president has visited. But yeah, these kids all have really mundane lives. The security guards were much faster to intervene this time due to us being immediately by the metal detectors. They rushed forward and escorted the three of us to the principal's office. I identified the small, skinny, long-haired boy who threw the paint. He was just my type. It was Chris Jenkins.
It was Leroy Jenkins.
The class clown.
It was Chris Chan.
Who mindlessly insulted the President of the United States during his visit to our school.
Just to stop the story here for a second, Mario Master 456 didn't realise this was Onision, and he's like going, that Onision? He was the one that wrote this?
Yes,
this
that,
one?
That
the
Onision.
Happy Dancing Man?
Yes. The Banana Man.
Yes.
Not Banana Man as in Eric who eats a banana and an amazing thing happens. No, the guy who sang the I'm a Banana song.
Yeah.
So this person didn't know that we've been making fun of Onision for.
I imagine
every other single part.
Matt. I imagine he just got here. I don't think he's watched.
Yeah, I was just saying okay. Oh, so Bad Creepypasta Stone Scale Part 11. I'm gonna start here.
Creepypasta. I'm not certain what that is, but.
Sugoi, this stream is kawaii poggers desu.
Why would you read that aloud?
I'm sorry.
No one made you do that. You chose to do that.
True.
That's recorded now.
It's like
that shame is never going away.
This is the class clown who mindlessly insulted the President of the United States. You know what? I can tolerate a school shooting. I can tolerate child abuse. I can tolerate demon gods from another dimension and fall in love with them. But what I can't stand is people being unpatriotic. This is America, damn it. You don't like it? Go to Russia. I don't know why, but you doing that was just like, welcome to the circus of value. I'm just very tired.
At least it wasn't the other one, which is like, I arrivo, I am bonito. Muchas gracias, senor.
We're nearly there. Just fucking hold onto your fucking socks and just.
You just made me think of
power through it.
Bonito.
Just a fucking dude with the Wittish box for a head.
I don't even remember, when did I tell you that?
It wasn't you that told me, it was Nathan.
Oh, because I just remember that was like a joke me and Nathan made up about his twin brother Huito, who had a Weetabix box for a head and was Spanish.
And ended up falling into a wood chipper when attempting a very difficult escape.
Over a bar of wheat freshers and just fell straight to the first one.
April, isn't Gemma Chan an actress? I'm pretty sure there's someone called Gemma Chan as an actress.
How we got into it with That's how, because Huito ended up being in the Cowboys of Mumesa thing we did.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
But it's so boring. Okay, only three of us now being escorted. He was the only one security had to physically force to follow them to the office, but the guards seemed to drag his little body along with ease. I have a great deal of experience in dragging little bodies, and I volunteered my assistance. The guard told me I was being creepy and smacked me in the face. Abby and I stood waiting in Principal Lehman's office. As his eye wiped the black paint off her neck and chest using paper towels Mr. Lehman's secretary gave us. Abby didn't seem too upset, nor did she understand human emotion at all. But she was worried about the future. In a surprisingly strong voice, she said,
This is only the beginning.
I just love this. It's like Abby. It's just all the stupid jokes we've been making about this character. It's like Abigail was simply worried about the future. She said, "This is only the beginning. Entire cities and continents will burn."
This is only the beginning of it. People aren't going to be able to accept me like you. They never did, and with what they have now, they likely never will.
I frowned slightly, wishing I could do something, but felt powerless. She went on to say,
Where? Rumors are like poison. It doesn't matter what the truth is, what they want to believe. They will believe. When Ms. Robertson screamed what she did, she killed my future at this school.
I wanted to argue, to give her some hope. I wanted to tell her that everything she'd said was deeply retarded, but that would mean lying to her. The wounds from the shooting were too deep, and they wanted someone within their reach to blame. I turned to see Principal Lehman through the glass window of his office door. He was flailing his arms at his secretary outside, likely upset that he had just... I'm feeling like an Asda movie kind of character. Likely upset that he had just started one of those like promotional guys you see at car dealerships.
Wiggly, wavy arms.
Wacky and warm.
Yeah.
Flailing tube mat.
Likely upset that he had just started his day and a significant incident had already occurred. He then looked over at me, still wiping Abby off.
Still wiping Abby.
Still wiping Abby off everything. She just her latest mucus secretion. We had to spray it down quickly before her young were birthed from it. He was so upset. He was for a moment and at a loss for words. Is Greg just given up? There's so many sentences like this lately.
Running on sentences.
Yeah, but they aren't even like proper English. They're just gibberish. Like I feel like he's just gone. I just want to get to the end of the book now. I'm like, you don't.
We've had that amazing climax at some point, and just wants to finish it off.
Uncle Palpy, thanks for the £5. Girl smokes weed to celebrate turning 18. Onision, what is the cure for such disorders? Beating. And Pterodax, thanks for the 5k.
Maybe I can beat the age out of her.
They want to believe. Please tell me Mulder and Scully are somewhere in the background about to save the day.
Well, I mean, so long as some FBI agents are there, that's really what matters.
Mr. Mulder, Mr. Scully, you need to arrest this guy. He's we really do the like supernatural things. He's also a ghost in for the prison with you.
He just stood there, staring at us through the door with his mouth completely. This is again with our idea of Absathoth. This is so much funnier. He stood there staring at us through the door with his mouth open. So I turned back to Abby. I could hear him scream, "Oh my God, why?"
Yeah.
He was walking towards us, looking at the ground. He knew that if he looked Abby in the face, he would
Blood
lose his
streaming
mind.
from his ears and eyes.
It was like Mulder saying to Scully, it was like, oh look, it's origami. Scully says, "You mean the Japanese art of paper folding?" One
of the worst pieces of dialogue ever written on a television show.
I love the X-Files. It's one of my favourite shows, but that line is so bad.
It's just like you. There's a lot of that in X-Files.
I know much. Like Jacob, do you remember? No, I remember an even worse line of dialogue. Do you remember the first episode of Stargate?
Oh, is this the woman? Is this the female line?
Like I may have my reproductive organs on the inside, but I was like, why would that was the worst line of dialogue I've ever heard in any to the point where they cut it out of further any reruns of it.
But they had to establish she is a smart science lady, so she had to use science talk, Matt. Now she is woman, so therefore inherently you would think she is not smart and science, but she is smart in science, despite the fact she is woman.
Oh dear.
There was a trail of black paint leading to his office. Abby and I couldn't have avoided getting it all over the place due to the security guards ordering us to walk in.
Uncle Palpy, thanks very much for the £5. But the guards seemed to drag his little body along with ease. Made kidnapping children look like such a breeze.
It's like that Jeff the Killer poem again. So that how the Grinch talks.
Oh, I thought you did if Onision tried to have a crack at Dr. Seuss.
He's like, it was very easy for the security guard. His arms as long as houses, reaching over to the boy, dislocating his entire jaw and swallowing him whole like a serpent. Basically, what I'm saying is this school is full of monsters.
This town is full of monsters. How could you just
sit there and nonce on kids? Opening the door angrily, Lehman screamed, "Where is the idiot who did this?" Abby and I looked...
Bring me Peter Pan!
Where is the idiot who did this? Abby and I looked just outside the room towards Chris. Principal... I'm working on it. Principal Lehman followed our line of sight to see the scrawny little kid shaking like a scared, lost animal in a chair, just behind the reception desk. Lehman didn't even care that Chris was already terrified by his domineering presence. You little idiot! You're going to be cleaning this carpet until they look better than new, you got me? Lehman yelled. With a horrifying yelp, Chris screamed.
Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Lehman, now inches from Chris's face, mumbled something to Chris that no one else could hear. Whatever he said, Chris looked traumatized in response. Principal Lehman stood fully upright, turned and walked back into the room we were in, slamming the door behind him. What the hell happened? He screamed. I replied, recently Miss Robertson gave everyone within hearing distance of her office the impression that Abby was responsible for the people who were shot last year. He replied, she doesn't look like Seth to me. I added,
I guess.
Miss Robertson was referring to notes Abby had written. He belted out, I don't care about any of that. The only thing I'm concerned with is Power Rangers. Is the fact that the person who, under their own free will, shut up my school is behind bars. He continued. Besides,
she respected women.
If she had helped plot any of this, she would be behind bars too. The cops already talked to me about it and cleared her name. We stood there silently, not having anything to say. He then asked, anything else? You were just attacked or what? Chris heard the principal through the door and screamed back,
He assaulted me!
Principal Lehman looked towards the door and then looked back at us. Explain, he said. I replied, after he threw the paint, Principal Lehman interrupted. I've heard enough. Get out of here. I begin to leave. It's happening now. I begin to leave as Abby began to speak to Lehman. It's finally happened, folks. We've finally broken a tenth here. To speak to Lehman.
Principal Lehman, I don't know if...
He cut her off by saying, I'll take care of everything. Got it?
Abby...
I will begin the ritual. Abby nodded, hoping he knew what she was going to say.
Alright. Pterodax, thanks for the 5 Canadian bucks. If Mulder and Scully refuse to handle it, someone has to. Quatermass, Kolchak, Matt Prager, bloody someone. Where's
I feel like you're describing the greatest fan fiction of all time.
Bioman 12, thanks for the $2.99. The officer with arms as long as a 6-foot pole. And Uncle Palpy, thanks for the £5. This school is full of literal reality warping monsters, but Doug Walker's still like, yeah, I went to school as well, stop complaining.
Oh my god, that's so good.
Oh, Jesus.
High school sucks, grow some fucking balls.
Oh, look, it's the Oscar bait song.
God, I hate him so much. As we walked down, I could see Chris glaring at us, only to hear a scream. Get in here, right now! From Principal Lehman. Chris flipped like a light switch from angry glare to wide-eyed terror. We approached Abby's class, worried she would face more repercussions for what Miss Robertson had said in the hall. Just then a voice came over the intercom. It was Principal Lehman. It has come to my attention that a lot of you believe a student in our school, outside Seth Wilson, was in part responsible for the shooting that took place last year. He then it's just sounding like Goldman now. He then began yelling.
He's got his zombie lab. I don't need the police investigating my zombie lab, and it's this school.
The next line sounds like something that Chris Chan would say.
Goldman.
People,
to protect the life cycle.
People love the high school. I am Principal Goldman.
See, like that next line, that is not at all relevant or true. Sounds like something Chris Chan would say.
That is not at all relevant or true. And if I see any of you picking on any student, blaming them for the actions of the boy we all know is alone, 100% responsible.
Have you told them about the thing? I'm working on it!
And is now in prison, I will not hesitate to suspend you. And for a lot of you, a suspension means repeating the semester. As he cleared his throat, Abby looked at me with relief. Again, whatever you have been told by any students or staff about anyone being even remotely responsible for the shooting outside of Seth is a blatant lie, and should be reported to me so I may deal with those dishonest individuals directly. That's very Christian. Deal with those most dishonest individuals directly. Speaking of which, Miss Robertson, can you please report to my office? I feel like you wouldn't do that in front of the students. That is all. The microphone squelched off. What?
Squelched off!
Oh yeah, he like his entire office is made of human flesh. Again, it's the monsters thing. And the entire building went silent. Abby looked at me amazed that the principal had shown complete intolerance for what had or would happen to Abby as a... Why is that surprising? What, the principal didn't tolerate the fucking guidance counselor going, "Hey everybody, this kid is the reason that all your friends got shot." Like, that surprises you, that the principal wouldn't tolerate that.
You know what I find more surprising? Why is this like... Okay, so we haven't gone to the end of the chapter, but presumably that means that problem solved. That's been there for a chapter and a half. Why is it in the fucking book?
Yeah, it just gets resolved basically.
We had a problem, we solved it immediately.
That's this whole book, though. Like, problems get set up, and then 5 minutes later, the problem gets resolved.
I was just
That's
checking.
the entire structure.
I was just checking you took the beers out of the freezer.
I did. Abby, about the paint on your... I began to say, but Abby interrupted.
Oh, stop. I'll set a fashion trend or something, I'm sure.
Abby hugged me and said,
See you at gym class.
Hobby.
"Ugh."
Ugh.
Ugh. Thrown completely off, I breathlessly said, "Please don't make me say it again." "Hubby." She laughed and walked in her class, closing her door behind her.
That's what she calls her victims.
Hubby. Yeah, she's like a Black Widow. She mates with them first. I returned to my class, and Miss Hanson was, to no surprise, sweating from his forehead while reciting more boring facts about Washington State. I sat down and immediately began trying to figure out from his body movements if he was worried about Miss Robertson. I knew those two had a pretty close relationship as far as school staff goes, but I figured I'd find out after class about how he felt anyway. So I didn't look forward to it.
The more this goes on, the more it does remind me of like Christian. Like, did he actually have like two? Like his guidance counsel was mean to it. What he was mean? He's called Mr. Hanson, and he can get back at both of them. Those jerk cops.
Where the fuck am I?
Mr. Mac came out and told us. Is that it?
Mr. Hanson.
Mr. Hanson had to give us all reports. Had us all give reports on a specific part of Washington. Excuse me. That we had visited in our lives that we liked. I had nothing prepared, so I just went off the top of my head. Only a few words into telling the class about where I'd been, and Mr. Hanson screamed,
A+!
The class laughed, and I finished telling my story with just a little boost of optimism, thanks to his outburst. Why would that happen? As I completed TA work for Mr. Hanson, he brought up Miss Robertson, just as I expected.
Do you know what the whole business was with Miss Robertson?
He asked. I replied, "It's really complicated." It's really not complicated. She acted completely irresponsibly. He then added,
I hope they fire her.
I was speechless. I thought he got along with her just fine. He could see my disbelief, so he explained.
Ms. Robertson is one of the most manipulative, judgmental, and possibly insane women I've ever met. I'm only telling you this because I've never heard Principal Lehman that angry before, and I'm pretty sure that means she's getting canned.
I replied, I don't know. Like I said, it's complicated. He asked,
Why are you so hesitant to speak your mind?
I replied, because it's not just about Miss Robertson. There's a lot more to it. He then smiled and tilted his head back, stretching out his double chin briefly to become one chin.
Oh, it's about your girlfriend, too.
It's like stretching out his neck. He reached over to the nearby bird cage, pulled the canary out, and swallowed it whole. I smiled and replied, like I said. He jumped forward and interrupted.
Get back to work, you.
But said it with a smile, so I knew he was just trying to ease the tension. As gym class came around, Abby was all cleaned up and looking like her normal self. She was happy to see me, still giggling about calling me hubby earlier. I was so psyched to see her and feeling happy despite all that was going on. Extra large space between paragraphs for no reason. Mr. Mack came out and told us.
The game of the day is basketball. If you don't want to play that, you must sit on the sidelines and cheer every time someone scores a basket.
We all laughed as I ran to join in on a game. Abby stood by the side with some other students. I don't think they just let you sit out.
Yeah, I was going to say, like it's like, you know, I just remember when I ever did fucking, you know, sport, you know, any sort of sport things like, hey, can you, if anyone doesn't want to do it, you can just fine just to sit out. Like, no, I'm pretty sure it's all mandatory.
Yeah. It's like so. Well, I mean, it was like that in my maths class. I'm like, if anyone doesn't want to do long division, they can just chill at the sides and cheer when someone gets the answer right. This is school, motherfucker. I know, obviously, when Greg wrote this, he hadn't been to school in 20 years, but you know, it just. I mean, I say being, obviously, I don't mean hanging around outside of one. I mean actually attending.
Yeah, do you think he got, like, it's been so long he has gotten actual, like, school learning and watching game shows mixed up? Like, so like, once you graduate, you, like, win $1 million, or you get a new car if you guess the price right?
Greg Jackson has passed with his 2.5 grade average. Let me show you this beautiful, I don't know much about cars, BMW Z series car. Isn't it nice?
It's a Prius.
That's yours now. And this holiday to beautiful and exotic France. Where the fuck am I?
I don't know. I don't care.
I think we were just looking to have fun. Even Rayman was being a good sport. I knew if it were earlier that year, he would have fouled me and other students, only to act like he was the victim if anyone called him on it. Everything we all went through just seemed to bring us closer together. It was like a wall casting a massive shadow, but all any of us could look at was the tiny glint of light shining through the cracks to another dimension. I'd never heard Abby cheer like this before, so seeing her light up every time I scored a basket... Don't look directly into the light coming from Abbigale. We've talked about this, Greg. I scored a basket.
That's not actual light.
Gave me a familiar...
You can see colours that don't exist.
Gave me a familiar, goofy grin and only motivated me to do better. As I played, I kept thinking about how everything could have gone to hell had I given in earlier on. But I was reminded that it wasn't only Abby and I who found ourselves laughing our way through everything, but most of the students in our school. It was as if all of the tears shed in our school cleansed us of our differences, bonding us in a way most other schools would never know.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Abby and I met at the bus.
What was that, Spike?
And rode home quietly in our usual seat. I think he wants to come out, maybe?
No, he just jumped up in the air and then jumped back down again.
She rested in my arms as if she didn't have a single worry, and in that moment I found peace as well. As Abby closed her eyes, I stared off towards Davis's old seat. I imagined him cracking jokes and laughing. He could almost always offer endless entertainment. Just then, I felt Abby's hand touch my face.
James,
She said in a gentle tone.
are you okay?
I just realized she had her hand on me to wipe a tear away.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Pussy. I didn't even know it had fallen. I'm fine, I said. I looked at her, squeezed her gently, and smiled. I'm fine. And there's more, apparently. It's not...
Yeah, you got 2.5 pages left.
All right. Well, I could blitz through them, but I'm not gonna. I'm going to the fridge and get a beer.
Nice.
And we're going to wait for you to come back.
Grab the beer and fuck her right in the pussy.
Do you want me to read some of this one?
No, wait for him to get back.
Okay.
Did I miss any super chats while I was reading?
No. Wait. Plague Doctor. Plague Doctor, thanks very much for the $2. Are you guys going to read Sonichu with Vince again?
Probably.
Hopefully, yeah.
At some point. Probably. Maybe.
Yeah. Spike just jumped weirdly, just sort of jumped right up in the air and then jumped back down again, and he got his legs stuck up on the glass, and it's really cute. I'll take him out.
Can he understand the story? Is it like in some sort of black lizard speech that he can understand? And he's like, "Oh my god, stop it!"
There you go. Look at, hey, yeah. Hello.
Turns out our largest gecko, by the way, for anyone who cares, is a super, which is quite rare. He's still got his big old tail as well. Cresties sometimes lose their tails, but both of ours have still got theirs. Because we're not cunts who scare our lizards. So there you go.
Yeah, Gustavo is really he's really adorable, but he's like chubby and small.
Spike is a long boy.
We're going to be breeding him next year.
Yeah.
Because we've got another got a female.
Because he's a handsome lad.
Yeah.
I cannot continue with reading the story, Gemma, for Spike is looking at me.
Yeah.
And I must concentrate on Spike.
Pterodax, thanks very much for the $5. I saw the word president on the last page. I hope I got it right and the drones are inbound.
Don't spoil the big finale.
Spike's just doing cute leg exercises. Just like, Superintendent Gemma.
Isometric exercise.
I don't think that sketch will ever date. It's so good. It's so good. Quite a few days had passed. Actually, this is kind of an event, isn't it? Chapter 20. I shouldn't just jump right into it. Like,
I think you should.
how about like just a moment? You know, there's got to be a little bit of reverence, right? I mean, here we are, chapter 20.
Spike and Stavo, what nice names, yeah. Sam says, lizards dropping their tails is always a sad thing. Yes, it is.
Now we're very well looked after, so they're. He did a poo.
And
All right.
Jacob?
we're still
Sorry,
here, don't
I'm
worry.
just having a chuckle because Spike did a poo, and poo is a very funny thing.
Yeah.
As we
Put
all
the
know.
lizard back in his cage, in the lizard prison.
Thinking like, and it is funny, and it's funny because it involves poo. Little Mitchell and Webb reference for you there, folks. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, we know.
Fucking hell, guys! Like, I can't believe here we are at the precipice.
Blue Moon Samurai, lizard pics, and thanks for the $2. If you go on my Instagram, Mask of Sanity 93, you'll find lizard pics on there.
You should follow Gemma on Instagram because she posts pictures of Spike. I'm not very good at taking pictures of things, so I don't take pictures of Spike. But Gemma does, so follow her.
Yeah, I'll be putting pictures up of Spike and Gustavo very soon.
Quite a few days had passed since Abby was doused with black paint. We woke in each other's arms to the sound of my alarm clock. Wow, what a worthwhile sentence. I wondered why I kept it all this time. It was such a random...
Wait, Jacob. Arctic Monkeys poster.
Hello.
It's like the sound of my alarm clock. I wondered why I kept it all this time. Maybe because it woke you up in the morning and you needed it. It's a functional object. It was such a random piece of crap. Sometimes it would go off in the middle of the day. You wouldn't be there. Other times it would go off at the right time. Abby and I would always laugh because it had a delightfully annoying little chirp to it. Not so annoying you passionately hate it, like me, but just enough to make you want to shut it off as soon as humanly possible, like one of my videos. We normally woke up based on our internal clocks, which worked because we rarely went to bed at an excessively late hour. Fortunately today, my little piece of junk alarm gave us some extra time before the bus arrived. Seeing we didn't have to leave right away, Abby kissed me good morning and told me she was going to make some eggs. She just went into a very dark and dank room and just started laying eggs. Is this bit still funny? It is to me. While she cooked, I cleaned up our room. For some reason, her talent for finding the strangest places to discard her clothes made me laugh inexplicably. Yeah, inexplicably is already there with for some reason. Again, this is Department of Redundancy Department. Her now dried shirt, covered in paint, was crumpled on the floor. Just looking at it gave me the strange inclination to fold it into a square and pin it to the wall using thumbtacks. Because by this point in the story, am clinically insane. When I was done, Abby walked in.
Arctic Monkeys poster.
Just like puts it over the top of the Arctic Monkeys. There we go. All better.
Literally, the only reason I remember the Arctic Monkeys is literally because of this. I don't remember why we made the Arctic Monkeys joke in the first place. I just heard you bitching about them being at were they in the Olympics or something? Some games?
Should read that one.
Right. Pterodax, thanks very much for the $5. James talked about Davis being endlessly entertaining. Unless he means Constable Davis from Corner Gas, that is an absolute lie. And House of Rage, thanks for the $5. Do it! End it! End my suffering!
All right.
Come on.
When I was done, Abby walked in with 2 plates in her hands and saw the shirt on display. She said,
Well, that looks kind of cool.
I replied, I feel like, at this point, most bad things that happen won't really hurt us unless we let them. I tell you what, Greg, you eat the eggs, mate, because I've lost my appetite. You fucking creep. She set down the plates and hugged me. I said, you turn bad things into beauty, Abby. She then climbed into the oven to just get away from the things I was saying.
I want to climb into the fucking oven.
I pointed at the shirt. It's like the moment that paint hit you, it became perfect. Every time he speaks, I'm just visualizing just Abigail just like pouring gasoline over herself. She replied sarcastically, reaching her arms out.
You've gone too deep, James. Where'd you go?
I laughed hysterically. I had an awful sense of humour, hugging her as she laughed as well.
Thank you, James,
she said. I kissed her on the forehead and softly continued laughing.
Paradox. The clock didn't give enough... Wait, thanks for the $5. The clock didn't give extra time. Being in the vicinity of Absathoth did, presumably about a few decades. You just remembered the Razmyths.
Oh shit, I just remembered the Rasmus.
Oh shit, I remember the Rasmus.
And then Uncle Palpy, thanks for the £2. Last chapter, cast it into the fire. Destroy it! No.
Just Jacob, no. We waited that morning at the bus stop for about 40 minutes before we gave up and returned to our room.
That is the most accurate thing.
Yeah, to be fair, that's the most realistic thing to happen in the story. Just waiting 40 minutes for a bus and then just going home. You know what? I won't go to work today. Fuck it. Abby tried calling into school, but no one answered. So we turned on the TV, hoping to see if the local news said anything. Before we could even flip to the news station, we quickly found most every local station was showing the same thing. At first we thought it was just a random fire when Abby raised her her face in shock. By the way, pages from the end this happens, and said,
James, that's
Our school.
I looked at her in shock, then back at the TV to read the scrolling news feed at the bottom of the screen. It read,
Unknown arsonist suspected of starting fire that claimed almost most of Lakewood High.
Abby and I were now both staring at the TV. The feed cut to a ground reporter who had approached a very upset Principal Lehman. As the reporter asked him questions, he kept apologizing to them, following it by, I can't comment on at this time. He ended the conversation saying he had to deal with the situation and spun around looking at the school in disbelief, likely having no idea what his role now was or how to even proceed forward after witnessing his job literally go down in flames. Isn't the phrase go up in flames? Right before his eyes. Abby and I spent the days after keeping each other busy at home, all the while expecting a call from a member of the school administration to explain what had happened. So I'm a really sore throat again.
Are we to continue?
There's no point, I'm so close to the end now.
True.
We watched the news every day to learn updates on the story. It didn't take the fire department long to figure out how the fire had started. They confirmed it was in fact the result of arson. After talking to the staff in depth, the police were pointed towards the recently fired Miss Robertson.
Despite my rage, I'm still just a rat in a cage.
I'm still just Nicolas Cage. Just as we learned about her being suspected, our phone rang. I answered and the voice on the other end was someone representing the school district.
It was the president.
They confirmed my name and that I attended Lakewood High, following their confirmation with a briefing. As you are well aware by now, the school suffered a major fire and is irreparable at this point. All of your class information and grades were stored in an online database, so none of your information has been lost. Regardless, to make things easier for the staff and the students, we've decided to credit everyone as if they had already finished up the year. I asked for clarification, and they confirmed that we would be attending an entirely new school in the next year. To my relief, they also said we would be proceeding to the senior class with our credits intact. I thanked them and disconnected. Abby and I were both happy to know the only thing the fire harmed was the physical school itself. Great wording. In reality,
That's a spiritual school.
I love this. In reality, not even a janitor, not even a lowly janitor, almost a human, was harmed, as by the time the fire had started, he had finished his work and gone home for the night. Yeah, it would have been a minor inconvenience if the janitor had died. The administration really stepped up and made sure none of the teachers suffered financially and the students didn't lose any time. Days later, Abby and I decided to visit the site of our burned down school.
Where am I? What?
The front was completely cordoned off, so we approached Lakewood High from the back. As we got closer, we could see the gymnasium building remained completely intact due to it being detached from the rest of the school. As a result, amazingly enough, the jocks were still allowed to use the facility itself and the unscathed field nearby for practice, although I imagined they were doing it just to stay in shape for the next year. The back area was pretty open, so we were able to walk right up to a point only a few yards away from the fire-damaged area. As we looked on, someone came up behind us saying,
"Hey, chump!"
It was a school in the 1950s. I turned to see it was Jason in his sports gear. He had seen us walking from the field, hockey mask, and actively practicing football.
Sit on it! Did you see the news?
Sports gear and leather jacket. He walked up to us, combing his hair.
Hey!
He asked. I replied, "Last I heard they were looking for the arsonist." He laughed and said,
"Nope, they found her."
"Nope, too fast." Abby and I looked at each other and back at him, waiting for him to tell us who it was. Jason threw his arms around and screamed,
"It was crazy! Miss Robinson, dude, she's all locked up now."
Abby and I didn't know how to react. "You're sure? Last I heard it was all speculation." I asked and he responded,
"Yeah, she didn't have to admit it, but she still did. She said the school was like rotten to the core. I talked about how the renovations were just a lie, covering up a bigger lie or something
Okay,
like that."
this is much more interesting. So she talked about how the school was rotten to the core, that the renovations were a lie, covering up. Like, can we tell that story instead?
I like that story.
Where it's basically session 9, but about a school.
Oh my god!
Can we just tell that story?
Can we just watch?
Yeah, we're here to remove all the asbestos.
Can we just watch session 9?
Yeah, I might watch session 9 in bed, to be honest. Good movie.
Yeah.
But
Jacob, you know who caught Miss Robinson? The only man who could catch such a powerful fire elemental, because she's that now. Rocket Fist Rick.
Rocket Fist Rick, or as he's otherwise known, the Avatar.
Is that an angel? I don't want any religion in my games. Mrs. Robertson was just trying to destroy the pods in the school. It's too bad they got her in the end, when she pointed her finger and screamed, "Ouch." Thanks to her attacks for the 5 Canadian bucks.
It turns out this is actually the same place that the faculty was happening, and she was saving everyone.
But yeah, that sentence alone is a much more interesting story.
Yep.
I know it's just referring to the shooting and everything, but I said it was like something very wrong with the school. Terrible things happen here. It was built over one of the 9 gates of hell.
Uncle Palpy, thanks for the £2. More like session 17 and a half.
Wait, so Jacob, did it turn out like the superintendent, like the mayor of the town came by and she blew up the building to save everyone after he turned into a giant snake?
Yeah, to a giant snake.
This is a day of celebration.
This Robert the Vampire Hunter.
The mayor was too pure. He was too good for the world.
Yep.
Rip in peace, my giant snake dude. There was a silence as the information soaked in, but Abby broke right through it by busting out laughing, throwing her hands on her knees, hunching forward beside me. Excuse me. I smiled and Jason gave her a slightly bewildered look. Abby's laugh was rich with satisfaction. It was an obvious victory for her after all the grief Miss Robertson consistently gave her. Considering, Miss Robertson never admitted she did it, and Abby's laughing maniacally, I like to think that Abby burnt down the school.
Yeah.
From a distance.
From a distance.
She used firepower.
From a distance.
I can't hear the phrase "from a distance" now without thinking of James Nguyen talking about the birds in Birdemic. And you think these look realistic?
From a distance.
From a distance, from a distance.
Anyway, so see you at the new school, huh?
Jason asked. I replied, "Yeah, I guess."
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Tell you what, the new school, I guess. Jason then turned and ran back off to the field. Abby's laughter was trailing off now as she returned fully upright. "You okay, Abby?" I asked. She replied with a smile.
No, I'm not saying it.
Okay. Yup, hubby, I'm just fine. She and I turned around to continue looking at the burnt school. Suddenly I realised something. A smirk crossed my lips. Well, I guess that means I won't be running for president. Then end.
What?
What was the point of that?
Oh, Jacob. Great American novel.
It's like a sitcom ending.
It's finally happened. Greg Jackson has written the great American novel. What amazes me is that that was 89 pages and it took us a year.
That was a sitcom ending. And it was like, well,
Jacob.
I guess that means I won't be running for president. Canned laughter.
It's like,
Uncle Pal.
Smash every typewriter. Rip up every keyboard. Destroy every bit of pen and paper. All literature is now obsolete. We have the final pinnacle of writing right here.
Uncle Palpy, thanks for the £5. Mr. Hanson, good lord, what is happening in there? Miss Robinson, Aurora Borealis.
Child molestation.
child molestation.
Gemma won't say hubby, just like Third won't say sweet balls.
Third refuses to say sweet. I haven't watched those videos. You should.
So, what did we think? We need to go back and rewatch.
Shit, we have to give our feedback, don't we?
We've been holding back our criticism until now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, just rocketing through the story.
Uncle Octopus, thanks for the £9.99. Was what was said. It will get worse.
Thank you very much. One of the things I really resent is that they introduce Rick and then he never comes back. He's in it for like 3 chapters and then he never returns.
Yeah, because Rick was just an inoffensive, boring, actual Rick is just some boring ass, inoffensive way of getting rid of his mum and sister. Our version of Rick is an awesome guy.
Yeah, to be fair, we did turn him into Charlie from Twilight.
Pterodax, thanks for the $5. Is there a sequel where he runs for president? Is this a rip-off of Damien? Will Absathoth take control?
Find out next time.
Find out the next time on This Is Why I Hate You. Same bad time. Same bad channel. Toby, what did you think?
I'm sorry.
Sitting in the corner eating waffles.
Just like wow.
Wait,
So we've lost. Toby's actually gone off to fight in the Lemonade Wars. So.
Katie Bennett, thanks for the $2.
There's the lemonade fields in the Middle East. He's gone to try.
I'm literally thinking that, lemonade fields.
Katie Bennett, thank you very much for the $2 for your troubles. It's not much, but I try. And Uncle Palpy, thanks for the £2. Well, it took a year to read. Feels like it.
Honestly,
right. So
that was a fucking endurance. Matt, would you like to go first?
Right. So I was thinking about this. The best way I could describe it is just amateurish. Incredibly, it's like if you took if a 14-year-old was writing this, the sort of writing I'd expect from like a 14-year-old trying to write like their own little story, but stretched out to be 20 pages and done by someone who's like 20 years older than a 14-year-old. Just take away. It's just like this. Just piss out, right? Like that, like the end. Like, what was the point of the school burning down? Why was this person so antagonistic and crazy? Like, if you could condense this actual story into an actual like a book report or something that a kid had to do, like do a short story over the summer holidays, I don't know, 5 pages or something like that, and this person managed to stretch it out to fucking. It just seems like a child, a kid wrote it. And it's like pointless. There's no structure. Shit happens and then is instantly resolved. Random crap happens. This person's why? What's going on? It is utter fucking. I know he's not a professional writer, but he managed to get this fucking published apparently.
I agree 100%. And one of the things that's very funny to me, but funny in a frustrating way. Like the way your girlfriend might say to you, you know what I think's funny? That kind of funny. Is the fact that I know that they were largely jokes, but the supernatural elements that we added would improve the story. Because the school burning down and these kids being driven to do terrible things and the all the tragedy and everything would just work if you just added some creepy shit to it. Just like Twin Peaks it a little bit. You know what I mean? It's like, Seth was fucking possessed by an evil spirit of like somebody else that died at this school because the school is built right over a portal to another dimension. Do you know what I mean? Just fucking do something creative with it that actually. I'm not saying that every story needs to have supernatural elements. What I'm saying is those elements would add to this story and could only improve it. As it presently stands, nothing that happens in it really has any greater meaning aside from Greg saying school shootings are bad, high school sucks. Like that's really the message of the book is please don't shoot up the school.
I can take that message away with me. I was gonna do it, but before I read this story, I would have shoot up schools like it's crazy. But thanks to Greg's teachings, but you're saying about supernatural things. Literally, when like the beginning of the chapter when they woke up and like they got no bus came and like they tried ringing for. I was like, are they in purgatory? Is that like suddenly like they died in a sleep and they're going to spend eternity together in like an empty world or something for a second? I thought that's what's happening.
The problem is because our standards somehow, even though the shit we read, our standards still aren't low enough for Greg's writing. Gemma, before you give your thoughts, there's quite a few super chats, and if you want to read them.
All right, Pterodax, thanks very much for the 2 Canadian bucks. I didn't know the Turks had lemonade. Cameron Dalk, thanks for the $2. That was the worst book that I've ever read. Yep. Plague Doctor, $2. Thanks very much. Says Lemod Nab. Superstar Planet, thanks for the $2. What the fuck was this piece of nonsensical bollocks? Sam, thanks for the $5. I feel like we should spam the Amazon reviews of the books with references to the streams. Flintstones, fisting, Eldritch Horror, Smurfs, the lot. Some English bloke, thanks for the £5. £5 probably won't buy you enough booze to forget this literary abortion, but it can't harm to try. And Prada with an O, thanks very much for the $4.99. Please don't shoot up the brothel I'm in school. Thank you very much, everyone.
Gemma,
go ahead, Gemma. Like, lay it on us. What did you think of this 89-page tale that should not have taken the better part of a year to read, but did?
Well.
First of all. Sorry.
Well, I feel like I have gotten progressively dumber having read that.
Yeah. Definitely feels like kind of taking a bit of a beating, like a mental beating.
Yeah. I feel like I've lost my capacity for rational thought.
I've certainly lost my capacity for love.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like I can truly love now because of this story.
Yeah.
Because of the mental beating that Onision gave you. But luckily it wasn't a physical beating because you weren't, you're not his girlfriend.
Because literally, all that came into my head after reading that was the song "Show Me the Way to Go Home," and that's literally it. And I was like, that was in a better movie that we could have been watching and talking about.
Well, yeah, that song, it's in a few films, but it happens to be in Jaws, which is,
that's what I was thinking
as we've discussed, the greatest American film of all time.
Mm-hmm. And I really don't know where to begin. I really don't know.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it, to put it into words. I think Matt really kind of summed it up nicely, though, because none of it is really worthwhile. None of it amounts to anything. The story doesn't really go anywhere. It's just a kind of a montage of scenes that sort of happen one after another, seemingly with no discernible direction that the story is heading, no greater themes above and beyond very shallow, superficial stuff. Mm-hmm. It's just bad writing. It's not clever, it's not witty, it's not insightful, It has really very little to say. It's pointless. That's its biggest crime. It's not Onision's biggest crime. Onision's biggest crime is all the child abuse. But,
I was saying, like, if we divorced ourselves from who own what Onision is, and someone was just like, "Hey, read this book," like someone gave us like £100 at the beginning of the year and told us to read this book, and we were like, "This is just fucking, like dull, pointless drivel." Without all the, making fun of him for being a kiddie fiddler.
Superstar Planet was what we said it will get worse. That quote is so applicable here because when we were reading, just schlocky horror stories, which is written by people we'd never heard of. We're just like, aha, Mario had blood coming out of his eyes.
And blood.
We had no idea back then, I think.
Yeah, the good old days when the creepypastas, lasted 15 minutes and not, I'm guessing, 10 hours or whatever? Maybe longer?
Yeah.
Like, they usually an hour and a half, so...
I feel like I feel like tomorrow morning I'm going to have woken up with a lot of grey hairs from having finally finished this. It's like I feel like reading this story takes a physical toll on you.
Well, here's the thing.
Wouldn't it be the opposite? Like, you've exorcised that demon from your soul. Like, you've gotten over, like, nothing can be, like, not like you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to feel like the best thing ever because you're never going to have to read Stones to Abbigale ever again. Like, you came to, a trouble, something terrible in your life and then you got over it.
Yeah, but we're going to probably read something worse. There's always going to be
I
something
don't know
worse.
that there is anything worse. Like, it's boring, stupid, and pointless. It's all of the negative adjectives that you can attribute to a story. It's, like I said, even though it's flat and shallow, it somehow manages to be pretentious at the same time. It's just inexcusable. I don't know if we will read something this bad again. I mean, I said that when we read Sonic EXE Round 2.
Like the whole thing.
And I kind of miss those bright summer days now.
Yeah, no, literally, Cope. Like, the reason why I know that we'll read something worse than this is because of that very reason. It's because there's always going to be something worse. And there's, like with everyone saying, with what was said, it will get worse. And it will get worse than this.
At least grey hairs could work for Dracula. Good luck. Thank you, Pterodax.
Jacob, I thought something like, is Onision sort of like the literary version of Neil Breen just without the fun?
Sorry, Gemma coughed very loudly. I didn't hear what you said.
Is he like the literary version of Neil Breen without the fun?
Yeah, I think Neil Breen is a bit more competent in storytelling, but yeah.
I can't believe you committed suicide.
He's certainly in love with himself.
He touched those children.
Yeah, he's certainly in love with himself the same way Neil Breen is. Thank you,
Can I get you out
Sam.
of this one, James?
Thank you, Sam. The only response I have for this is that someone start a GoFundMe for the therapy that Onision's children are going to need. It bothers me he has children.
Well, you never know. He might throw his girl out of a window again and film it.
Yeah, so way back to like my first ever creepypasta video when I say like with such a kind of youthful naivety that I'm just like, Sonic EXE is by far the worst thing I have ever read. Just like, wow. Fucking idiot that I was.
Gemma, do you know how I know we'll read something worse than this? Mr. Krabs. Money!
Well, Jacob, you know for a fact that you will never get your hands on a time machine. Because at no point did a portal open up and the future version you step out and smack your past self in the face for saying that.
Yeah.
Someone made a really good point. They never even mentioned the word stones in the book. What the fuck does stones to Abbigale mean?
Any news on Darkland or other projects? A couple of weeks ago we literally posted a trailer for our new movie, like on this channel.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to know news? Go and there's a playlist of news about the new Grey Sea, of trailer, behind the scenes, and announcement videos.
Yep.
And I don't mean to sound like a dick, but like, go watch that. You know, rather than asking. Like, there's videos you can watch about that topic.
Didn't we, back to the stones in Stones Abbigale, is it like passing a kidney stone? Did we already make that joke?
I feel like we probably did. If we didn't, we should have.
I don't think we've got much else to say.
No, I mean, all the most interesting things that were said were, about Gargamel trying to shit out the Smurfs to purify them.
Rocket Fish Frick and Fred and Barney double treating the irate gamer.
Yeah. And of course, Absathoth herself. This book is horrendous. Amongst the worst things I've ever read, although that phrase is just becoming meaningless the longer I do this show.
Stoned for Abbigale.
Thank you, Renita Chan. What bothers me is that he originally named his daughter Abbigale right after he named himself James. He's since changed it repeatedly. Fucking hell. Such a creep. That is such a Chris Chan maneuver.
With the whole
the crystal thing.
Yeah. Gemma, stones is what the reader wants to throw at Abby. Nice one.
Yeah, but it's so big, you need meteors.
Stones to summon Absathoth. It's a stone circle that they have to make.
I think we're done.
Thanks for the $1.99. There's nothing left to say.
No.
At Renita Chan, say psych right now. It's not even a book, it's a literal fan. Yeah, it's one that's just like it's just like self-aggrandizing crap.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel purged though a little bit. You know what I mean? I'm annoyed that this exists, but like
it's done.
Yeah, like
yeah, what's the book itself like? It's the relief you feel after passing the kidney stone.
You know, like idiot, like drunken lads are like, it's the end of an era, lads. The end of an era, boys. That's I now know how those drunken louts feel. Which is drunk. That's how I feel. Yeah, this was shit. And Onision's a kiddie fiddler. So are the staff at Netflix, and so is CREEPYPASTA, allegedly. So.
Oh, Pterodax, thank you very much for the $5. If only he was dating a xenomorph, then children would solve the problem that Greg's continues existence.
My God, you're right.
Aliens versus Predator versus Greg versus Onions.
Alien versus Predator. I'm funny.
Just have a look through the chat real quick. It's on top chat. I hate that. Why does it auto do that? I want to read every message.
Silence.
Fucking nothing left to say. Thank you everyone for coming. I'm just sort of like in shock now. But genuinely, thanks for everyone for being part of this very, very strange journey.
It's a long, strange trip it's been.
Yeah, it's been weird and noncy. Very, very noncy. Lots of noncery happening throughout. Ancient gods and cavemen double teaming angry gamers. So it's been interesting. I'd like to thank
put it on the shirt.
All. Yeah, I'd like to thank you all for being here. And Matt, thanks for joining us throughout this nightmare. And I think
Toby did the smart thing of bailing after the first time he was on.
Yeah, Toby turned up a couple of times, but
I think he turned up once.
And that was twice.
Right,
dumb bastard.
Well. He didn't have no idea.
Yeah, he was fucking clue what was going on, did he?
It just reminds me of the Star Trek commentary where he doesn't know what's going on.
Where he just kept on going, have you seen Star Trek The Next Generation?
Hey, you kept doing it as well.
I did it once.
You did it more than once. I listened to that commentary. You did it more than once.
Yeah, but at least I know things about Star Trek.
Good night, everybody.
Does it.